Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Q. I'm back. This that second video I talked about in that previous one. If you didn't watch it, hey, hope you take a look at it. Just help your boy out. But otherwise, yeah. What I wanted to talk to you about this time, you already know, it's same get up because that was literally a couple minutes ago that I'm making this. But I want to go back on legacy. I want to make a part two to it, like I said I would. So for the most part, when I think legacy, just about the discussion of it, well, really, my first view of it, honestly, when I was younger, was I wanted to have a business. I wanted everybody to know my name. I wanted, to have a lot of money, to be able to do what I want, to go where I want to live where I want to, have no, not really any troubles, to be able to take care of my friends and show them different things about life and be able to, and one of the bigger ones was take care of my mom and my family, to pay off our house, just goals like that type of thing, pay off the car and just live good and to be able to take trips and enjoy life. And as I've gotten older, like, it hasn't changed as much, but I know that having a son now, honestly, a lot of the things I do for him, because I don't. Yeah, at first I didn't want my mom to be, disappointed in me. I wanted her to feel proud that I'm her son, that that she can see me growing as a person, and that I'm, becoming the adult and the man that I should, that she raised me to be. And it sucks because, just being honest, like, your parents get older, and it's weird. It's weird, man, to be honest with you, because as you get older, you start to notice the cycle, like the actual cycle of life and how it moves, right? Because like, you're growing up, you're playing, not really paying attention to the world like that. You kind of let the adults handle that, and as you progress, you start to kind of see things. You start to notice that, just mainly speaking from my perspective, you start to notice that times are changing. You know what I mean? Everything that was cool to you, is fading at some point. Uh, Trends are changing. The technology is different. The attitudes that people have is different. The politics, the way you live your life, everything just starts changing slowly. So it's like, when you were younger, and you kind of made fun of your parents for listening to certain things or doing certain things, like, oh yeah, that's just because you're old, type of thing. And it feels strange to start being in that situation now. You know what I mean? Because I came up around the PlayStation, you know, PlayStation 1, I had the PSP, I had I had the Nokia phone, the indestructible Nokia. And to watch things, to change so much. And I thought about it the other day. I was just like, man, my son and some of these young kids, like, they'll never understand what it was like to not have an iPhone, at the time. You know what I mean? Like, iPhones, now that we lived in the era, it's been around forever. It feels like it's been around forever. But there was a time when we didn't have iPhone. There was a time when, we had dial-up. There's a time when you had a house phone. You know what I mean? Like, you had a phone sitting in the corner for the house, and sometimes it was wired for some people. There was a time when, Amazon wasn't even a thing. Like, you had to go out and go get your stuff or go find it. Or, it's like, it's just crazy that we have so much stuff, like electric vehicles. We got sites, like, it's just crazy. And I'm thinking this, I'm just like, man, my son will never understand, or some of these young people will never understand, like, what it was like. You know what I mean? You didn't have all this technology. You didn't have all these things that you could do and easy conveniences. And, some people were still looking at maps, to get around. Like, you didn't have just like Google Maps just kind of there to, get started like that. So it's crazy. It's like, you kind of see the transition, because you're moving, as you get older, you start moving into that, like the young kids call it the old head phase, to where things that you were into and things that you like, that, you can look back on and say whether it's cringe or not, or, that was a cool trend. And sometimes you notice that trends pop back up, you know, the older that you get, you're like, oh yeah, we was already doing that. Y'all just kind of call it a different name type of thing. But it's so interesting to watch that you're feeling in the shoes, you're starting to feel in the shoes of your parents and the older that you get. And like, you don't even realize, because for me, the craziest thing was that someone born in the 2000s is now able to drink. You know what I mean? It's like, what? It's like, I'm like, what? Like, huh? You 2004? You know, 2002? Like, that's the time, like, you think somebody's still a baby, but it's crazy not to hear people in the 1990s. You know what I mean? You always hear, like, the 90s babies, 80 babies, the 60s, 70s, you know, type stuff, but they hear somebody like, oh, yeah, I'm a 2000s baby. Like, I used to hear like Kids Bop type stuff. You know, when we still had CDs and cassette tapes. Your car didn't come with a you know, the little plug-in thing. You had to have the CD or cassette player, or you had to burn your disc. Just like when we had Game Shark for cheats and everything that you could just like input type stuff like that stuff right there. That you just that easy conveniences that you really don't even think about. It's just gone. You know, you just grow up on something different. And it's crazy. So I'm like, dang, you know, I'm gonna somehow tie this back into legacy and just, you know, walking down this path just because my brain decided to take me there. But yeah, man, it's just like there's a lot of stuff that he's gonna be experiencing, and I get to see myself go into my parents' shoes, getting to look down, not look down, but you know, look at the younger generation. I'm just like, huh. So this is what we look like. This is what we were kind of like acting like when we were in high school, elementary. You know, sometimes I'm just looking at stuff like, what is this? Like when I started hearing about Skibbity Toilet and stuff like that, I was like, what? And I'm pretty sure we had stuff that was like super stupid to anybody that was older than us, but we just loved it in general. Like what came out that everybody used to love? It used to be a song like talking about like you like cum in your pants and a few other things like music and just when YouTube first started coming out, like it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, back on a more serious note, sorry. I was going on a tangent. Legacy. When my son came along, things changed a bit because I wanted to be able to make him proud. I wanted to start living my life in a way that he could mirror off of, because for me, my dad wasn't there when I was growing up. And honestly, it made me think a lot because the things I had to go through because he wasn't there, that I had to go and teach myself on my own on how to, you know, how to shave for the first time, how to talk to women, you know, just dealing with like personal issues just as men and like self-esteem and, you know, learning how to fight type of stuff that you expect that your dad would teach you just wasn't there for. And so I got to sit down the other day and really think about it. I'm just like, man, like what kind of dad am I gonna be? How's he gonna see me? Is he gonna see, you know, how do I want to portray myself to him? Do I want to be a guy that's just super chill and I just, you know, a family man? Do I want to be a go-getter who, you know, you look up to like, oh yeah, my dad is out here doing his stuff and he's making moves type stuff. And it's a lot because it definitely hit me hard because I'm just like, man, you know, my dad wasn't really there to teach me how to do a lot of stuff, how to change a tire, how to do my oil, you know, how to understand the prices when buying a car, how to be assertive, how to do a lot of stuff that, you know, expected with men. I had to learn for myself, or I had to emulate or learn from being around friends who had dads, or you know, my coaches, because I was in a lot of sports, so I was able to look up to them. And it was tough. So I'm just like, what's it gonna be like for him? Because he's gonna have me around, and like, do I need to keep I feel like I need to keep perfecting my craft as a man and learning and keep improving to where, you know, he gets older and he can start understanding. I can start teaching him stuff. He'll be, you know, he'll have a role model to look after. You know, that his dad wasn't lazy. His dad, you know, went out there and he, you know, fought against the world, and, you know, he can take some losses, but he doesn't let it get it down. He's resilient. He's courageous. He's brave, and I want him to think of me as that. So then, you know, so I keep working harder and harder. so I can increase my knowledge as I read more. I'll work out so then he can understand, like lead a physical kind of healthy life and see, there's results to it. And when you see somebody close to you who's doing something, you have to feel like it's a lot easier to get into it because it's like motivation. It's just like, okay, well, my dad did it, so I'm pretty sure I can do it. And he reads, and maybe he'll get into reading, and he'll see me knowing how to talk to people, and he'll be influenced by that and be able to talk to people. I want to teach him to have confidence when speaking to people, and to learn different social cues, and how to navigate himself just throughout the world. But at the same time, it's like I can't teach somebody that unless I know how to do that myself. So it's like I have to go through this whole trial. Hold on.